Now, over a year ago, Kenya's government announced plans to let Kenyans, ordinary Kenyans, buy and sell Treasury bills and bonds on their mobile phones, with Safaricom, the country's biggest telco, developing and rolling out that particular trading platform. Since then, however, those plans have not moved pretty much anywhere. Beyond blaming high prevailing borrowing costs, Kenya's finance ministry, in fact, has been very silent on why this product execution has been repeatedly delayed. But then again, that perhaps is an opportunity. Earlier today, I asked Safaricom CEO, why not just bring the product to market by itself?
It's actually the origin of the product wasn't Treasury at all. The origin of the product was when Peter Mwangi was the CEO at the NSE, and he came to us and said, we would like to do securities trading using the mobile phone. And so we then went off to develop the product, which we've developed. And I think that we're much more likely now to launch it as a securities trading tool in collaboration with the brokers, which will be a little bit of a shame for government, because I think there's a lot of money out there in the informal sector. And if that money gets swept into securities and stocks and shares, then there's less available for the government coffers.
Any timelines on that? Is that a product that's already working? Because the bond trading side is more or less good to go. Equity is presumably pretty much the same. So you could legitimately put this into the market in a quarter.
Because it was designed for equity and modified for bonds. So we're good to go. I think perhaps we should defocus a little bit from Mkiba and focus it much more on stocks and shares.
What about, because one of the other things always comes up with equities trading, especially in this market, is that settlement window, which is crazy long. It's T+3, T+2. Would the trading module have an element of it that would probably shorten that trading cycle as well, to make it more or less instantaneous?
And that's the beauty with mobile money. I mean, not just our system, the other systems around. It is instantaneous, and it allows it speeds up the velocity of funds through the system.
All right, this should be interesting. So any timelines on launch?
No, we haven't, but I would say that we're within a few months of being able to do it. A few months only because we have Christmas coming up.
Yeah.
But we can switch this on actually pretty quickly.
Okay,
We just need to get some. We just need to get some partners and open the conversation with the partners.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to become a stockbroker. We want to make sure that we're working with the right partners.
That's something you're very passionate about. The idea that we're not going to go into this ourselves, or just find people who are more competent in that particular field and let them run with it.
Yes, it's important when you're a company of our size to make sure that you're acting as a platform to lift everyone else up. And yes, of course we can get into the TV business, and of course we can get into the banking business. We'll probably have success with some of them and a failure in others, but why do that when we should be building other businesses? I'd love to see, and I think one of the things I said last week was that what Kenya needs is a lot more big companies, not trying to manage the size of the companies that are here. We are one of 400 companies with a turnover of more than $1 billion, but we're the only one in Kenya. 400 companies in Africa, we're the only one in Kenya. So we need to be encouraging many more, and we want to be that partner that helps them to achieve that.
But isn't it also perhaps also just decent or rational, prudent risk management on your part? Because for the last 2 years, 3 years, actually pretty much for as long as you've been CEO, politicians, regulators have been consistently looking at Safaricom and saying, you're too big and we need to cut you down.
Which is a pretty silly thing to say. If I refer back to the 400, the McKinsey Lines on the Move report shows that the 400 companies, African companies, are actually outperforming their global peers. And so what Africa needs to be doing is to be developing more of these companies to drive growth, not trying to take the legs away from them. I think it's a pretty shallow approach to say that you're too big. What's important is that we behave properly and that we don't abuse the size that we have. And I think the regulators all have sufficient weapons to deal with that.